Hi everyone, Danny Bader here, and welcome to another episode of Back to Life, our podcast where I interview people from all walks of life to hear their stories and the insight and wisdom they've gained on this wonderful journey called life. So enjoy the episode and be sure to pay attention to what inspires you to create more happiness and fulfillment in your life, because that's what we're here for, right? Well, hi, everybody. It's Danny Bader, and welcome to another edition of our Back to Life podcast, where I look for guests and seek down guests who have an inspiring story. And through their story, they plant seeds of inspiration for us. So I came to our guest today, who you're going to love, Zach Schmitz. He came to me through a mutual friend who we know. And the guy said to me, hey, listen, this young kid is somebody you should probably talk to. So gave me some information. I connected with Zach here. We talked a little bit, and I'm really happy to bring you a conversation now where we'll get into it with Zach. So I want you to kind of sit back, grab your pen, take some notes. Make sure as you listen to his story, as we always do, you're bumping it up against your own life, right? Because we all have our challenges, but there's a kind of a common thread through all of them, more specifically in these times. So Zach, thanks a lot for making the time.
Absolutely.
Welcome to the Back to Life podcast, and you're coming to us from the wonderful state of Wisconsin.
Yes, I am. Thanks for having me.
Good.
Excited.
So why don't you tell everybody real quick, who you are, how old you are, what you're up to. Just give us a quick bio on Zach.
Yeah. So currently, right now, I'm a 24-year-old living in a small town in Wisconsin. Currently working at SC Johnson in a new role. Working on operational excellence, really trying to optimize behind the scenes customer fulfillment, adding automation to their different processes within customer fulfillment and accounts payable. Really just trying to learn as much as I can in this new role, and then also doing my MBA online. Really trying to improve my skills as a leader and as an individual. So. I'm just really trying to do as much as I can to continue to learn every day and to better myself every day.
Good deal. Now, you graduated from where? University of Wisconsin?
University of Wisconsin-Madison was my undergrad.
Madison was your undergrad, yep. So tell us a little bit about after college, your challenge. Tell us a little bit about your story here.
Yeah. So growing up, I was the oldest of four siblings. Growing up in a small town. Graduated from high school. I was a big athlete, basketball, cross country, track, pretty talented in all of them. And then after graduating high school in 2013, I went on to Madison, like I said, graduated in 2017 with a degree in engineering, and then got a job at SC Johnson right out of school as a manufacturing analyst, so working on the production lines in optimization and lean manufacturing. And then about 2 months after I started, me and my buddies, we always go up north to a little local town where there's a lake and a little house that we rent out. I think it was our 5th year we were doing it, just a way for all of us high school buddies to really maintain our relationships and rekindle and just catch up, I guess. And it was a Saturday morning, July 29th, just another normal morning. We were just hanging out. And then I ran into the water just to get a little dunk and dove in too shallow. Next thing you know, I'm face down in the water and I couldn't move. I couldn't move anything. And obviously, shock goes through your mind. You're like, what is happening? Why can't I move? What's happening ultimately? Luckily, before anything happened or I had to suck in a bunch of water, one of my good buddies came and flipped me off of my belly, and then threw me on the beach. And then once I got to the beach, obviously pandemonium ensued. There was I had no idea what was going on. Obviously, I was confused and just I thought it was maybe a stinger or something that.
So you hit the bottom when you dove in. You hit the bottom.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then at that moment, you don't think about something that could be as serious as it was, I guess. You're thinking I had a stinger, I had something something weird that happened it'll be done in a couple minutes. But just once the seriousness happened and you see all these different people that are running on the beach, there was nurses and doctors that were luckily on the beach. And then just seeing the way they reacted, obviously I was a little more frightened than I thought immediately. But then luckily there was enough professionals, and having the doctors on the beach was huge to stabilize my neck and really to level my head a little bit, and all my buddies, not that they're all going crazy, and because obviously they were just as confused, just as worried for my sake.
You never lost lost consciousness then or anything, Zach?
No, I didn't. So I was in the water for what felt like forever, just face down, looking at the bottom of the water, just thinking, why does nothing work? Why can I not move?
Yeah.
But luckily, I was maybe up or face down for 20 to 30 seconds. So it wasn't long enough. Luckily, I was able to hold my breath for that whole time.
Yeah.
Then ultimately the doctors and 911 was called, and I was flight for life to the nearest hospital. And that's where life flipped.
Yeah.
At that point. And my parents obviously came to the hospital once they heard, and even they didn't know the seriousness of the situation, because
how far was it?
How far
was the lake from your house where your parents were?
It's about 2 hours and 45 minutes, I think.
So the accident happens. You get to the hospital and you're there, I guess, in trauma unit and everything.
Yep. So I'm in the trauma unit, and then they immediately I was thrown into, I think it was an 8-hour surgery.
Wow.
And even at the time, my parents didn't know the seriousness. I obviously didn't know. Because even when my dad got the first call, he's like, "Do we have to go?" Or, and obviously, you don't immediately come to the scenario.
Yeah,
Ultimately,
I hear you, man. So many times our children, we get injured or whatever, and you just don't, you never think about the seriousness of this. So did your parents see you before you went into surgery?
Yeah, they did. They were able to. So luckily, because obviously it's not an easy surgery. It's not that it's life or death, but just like any surgery where it's that long and that much trauma to your body, it's not a breeze. So there was a lot of tears, obviously, and even my buddies that were there when they heard, because the doctor, one of the surgeons compared me to Chris, that it could be looking like Christopher Reeves, and that it could be on a ventilator and all that stuff, given where my level of injury was.
Right. What was the injury? Where was the injury to?
It was C5, so it was my cervical vertebrae 5.
C5, right.
Yep. So.
Yep. Who was your buddy that flipped you over in the water? What was his name?
Austin Hefner. So at the time, actually, he was a supply chain guy, and then after everything, not saying that his saving me or his input or the way everything went down, but he actually decided to go back to become a nurse. So
really,
it was kind of cool, and he's going to be a great nurse. He's graduating this week. I think he's graduating and starting in Louisville as a nurse. So I'm
right on.
Obviously, super thankful for him and super proud.
Austin, when you listen, good job, brother. Well done.
Yeah, he was. That's what I kept saying when I was on my ventilator, and I still remember I wasn't able to talk, so I was spelling stuff out on a ABC board with my parents, just like nodding my head when they got to the right letter.
Right.
And that's what I remember saying, like, Austin is my hero, and obviously I was just breaking down, and but it was
what then? You get the surgery, you come out of surgery. Take us a little bit through that. You were in the hospital for how long?
Yeah, so I was in the ICU for 14 days. Wow. At that point, you're obviously like, let's go. Why is this like any other injury? You kind of compare a spinal cord injury, or at least for me, I was like, any other injury that I've seen or seen other people go through, like broken leg, femur, all of them, just like, okay, then it takes a while, but they recover, So even when I was in there, I was like, okay, this is kind of a pain in the butt. Why is this taking so long? I want to go home. I want to be walking again.
Yeah.
And then after 10, 12 days where you slowly are able to transition your mind from that, some sense of normalcy to, all right, you got to kind of deal with what you're given, and really trying to shift your mind to adapt to the situation, while still maintaining a positive realism, which is really, really hard, because the doctors are obviously trying to instill that same mentality into your head where you want to stay strong, you want to stay positive, but at the same time you have to stay real and stay in the moment, and you can't like wish things to happen, obviously.
Sure.
So that was one of the hardest parts for me, was just trying to maintain my sanity while also being optimistic, I guess. And now it's just really hard.
Right. How long were you in the hospital then after surgery?
So the ICU was 14 days, and then I went off to Craig Hospital in Denver, where I did my rehab. So I was there for 3 months.
For 3
and
months.
And that's where they really try to just transition your life from a normal life, and they try to reteach you as many skills as you can for being in a wheelchair, and just really do their best job to rebuild your situation and really reprogram your mind to adapt to the situation.
Yeah,
and I made so many
physical and mental, I guess, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I've said many times. Like, obviously this is an extremely tough physical situation, but it's far more challenging mentally. Just to have that shift from being an athletic 22-year-old to now you're wheelchair bound and dependent on your family to do daily tasks like bathing and showering and dressing and eating. And but I met a lot of great people at Craig. Obviously you see people that are far worse than the situation that you have, that maybe they don't have the family support or the friend support, and they're there at the hospital by themselves, or they're a grandma that is dependent on a ventilator for the rest of the life. So it really humbles you, and it really makes you thankful for the situation, as dire as it seems. It really just makes you kind of grateful that it could be worse.
Yeah, gratitude, right? Is always, as we look around, there's always something for us to be thankful for. Or when people look and they go, there's always somebody worse off than me. Yeah. Which, I mean, I get that, but I'd always try to go and say, okay, based on where we are right now, what can I be thankful for in my life?
Yeah.
Because you can always find that. What's one of your, if you will, what was one of the kind of darkest moments? You and I have talked about my accident and trying to come back from that and all, but this is about you. What in your memory, what was one of those darkest moments that you had where you were kind of at the lowest point? Do you remember anything there?
I just remember some of the hardest times for me was just even months and years after my injury, where the hardest times is when you see all your buddies doing the things that you used to do.
Yeah.
And you're not able to participate. Obviously I love being around when they're out golfing or when they're playing basketball or when they're doing these various things, but it's just killer to not be able to do what you did. Cause I was always a doer. I wasn't a guy that was going to watch them play basketball and not be competing with them
in the mix. Yeah.
So that's the hardest part. And then obviously just the low days where you don't want to get out of bed. And there was a stint where I would go to bed at 8:30 and wake up at 9:30. So I would sleep for 13 hours and then take a nap during the day, just because I was depressed. I didn't want to get up. I really didn't have a purpose to get up at that time.
Right.
So once I was able to kind of slowly gain traction on small wins, and get accepted to my master program, slowly develop professional relationships to get back to work and that kind of stuff.
Right.
That's what really helped me get out of some of them low times. And then obviously just relying on the man above, and just knowing that everything happens for a reason, and really trying to see the good in every day.
Yeah.
And just, yeah, sticking to that mentality that everything happens for a reason. And it's not the way I envisioned or I planned it, but
Right.
there's going to be something positive out of this.
Yeah. What did you do? Like, as you talk about those, let's kind of dig into them a little bit more, because I'm sure a lot of our audience, a lot of our listeners, I mean, I know I've had those moments, and I still have those moments where you just feel like shit, you can't get going. You're like, you can't get out of bed, or you want to go to bed early just to kind of go to sleep, because then you can kind of escape it. What do you do, or what did you do when you saw your buddies participating in all the physical activities that you love?
Yeah.
And that as you said, you can't do anymore? What's one of the strategies now for you, not to avoid that, because it's probably always going to show up, right? We're human beings. Yep. You were a physical gifted athlete, and you're always going to look at other people and go, oh man, I can't do that anymore. So it's not about not having that showing up, but your strength lies in your ability to recognize it and say, what's my strategy to move past it? So what's that?
For me, I just relied on family and friends. And I mean, I cried after them events. I mean, I have no problem just being emotional and sharing with my family and friends and the guys that are doing it, just that I miss it. And I'm not gonna miss being with you guys because I can't do it.
Right.
So for me, it was just really just sharing with them that, this is hard for me, but at the same time, I'm gonna be at these events and be
right.
with you guys while we do these things, because I'm gonna live my life the same way that I would have before I got hurt.
Yeah.
Although I can't do it, I'm gonna watch you guys and be as involved as I can.
That's great.
In day-to-day life,
Yep. So I think the key there that you talk about, and your wisdom at 24, 25 years old, is that ability just to be vulnerable and to realize there's times that we feel like crap.
Yeah.
And the best thing to do is go to your people and say, hey, Zach, Danny, who, I feel like crap right now. And here's why. So many people, moving through these times, I got to be strong. I have to be strong through difficult times. Your strength lies in your ability to say, I feel like crap. That's a strong person, right? So I think that's really, really cool. That's good. I'm sure you tell those guys they're lucky that you're not there, because you'd be kicking their ass probably, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, you guys are lucky. I'd be dunking on you fools right now.
That's right. That's right. You wouldn't be catching me. Talk a little bit about your family and friends. I know you got your mom, Bev, and she stopped working, and your dad, Wayne, and sisters and all.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about the energy you got from your family.
Yeah. So I got 3 younger siblings. They're all in college right now. 2 actually just graduated. I would be at graduation today, but they've all been great in supporting me and just maintaining my mental state. And I feel like I've always kind of been a role model for them growing up, and I'm just so glad, 1, to see them thrive in their individual lives, and then 2, just to maintain or to continue to be a support for me and involving me in everything, and kind of adapting their life to life with someone that's involved in a wheelchair, or that's living in a wheelchair. So if we're going on a boat or something, you sure as hell know that they're doing everything in their power to get me on that boat with them.
Right.
And kind of like you said, my parents have took a similar mindset that I'm still the same guy that I was before I got hurt.
Sure.
And that they're going to make sure that I'm going to be able to do everything that I can in this life that I've kind of been dealt, and they're going to sacrifice everything that they can to see me thrive. And even just with work that's going on, my mom's she's going to be willing to drive me down to Racine or wherever I need to go, 2-hour drive every day if she had to see my career develop and to see me continue to grow as an individual.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is good.
Yeah, and I'm super grateful that they've been so great about it. And all my buddies too, I have 10 to 15 to 20 of the best friends that anyone could have. And even when I was in Colorado, I had 10 to 15 of them come out there just to visit me.
Did they really?
And yeah, and it was just it was astounding just to see just the support that they were able to give me through this whole process. And I'm super, super grateful that they've been able to do that. And accept me for who I am now.
Yeah, that's cool. Support is a key principle. You and I have talked about it before on our, initial call, and we got to know one another. So to seek support really is good. We have to be vulnerable. We have to ask for the help, as you do and all. But I think what's important too is we always got to, as your buddies did, keep your eyes open and see who in your life needs you more than you're showing up. So I say it's important to seek support, but also be support.
Yep.
So I'm sure if not, I'll remind you that you're living that right now. You are support to a lot of people.
Yep, and that's
I know that.
I try to do that. Yeah,
you don't try, my friend. You don't try. Take try out of there.
I do it.
Yes, you do. Yes,
you do.
There's
a lot of people that struggle with their own battles. Everyone has their own cross to bear.
Yep.
Mine's more physical and more noticeable, and people can see it, but there's a lot of people that have their own inner demons and things that they struggle with as well. And I feel like I'm just good at being a good source of positivity. People see my cross that I bear, and to be able to share my sense of positivity and energy with others, I feel is that they can really learn a lot from it and really hopefully feel better about the way their day-to-day life is,
Yeah, I hear you. So let's talk about, we'll get to our faith in a moment here, because you talked about the big man upstairs or big woman upstairs. I mean, for our female listeners, we know that the female is a dominant race, so we might as well just make it the big woman, whatever. But before we do, in terms of, you talk about mindset a lot. You've used that, and the mindset is really, I believe our mindset is a result of what that little voice in our head is saying, or those voices in our head, right? Our self-talk. So I get when you feel like crap or whatever, you can talk to your people about it. What about when you're just with yourself and you've got those voices in your head, and they're not necessarily telling you good things. What you need is your positive, keeping you moving forward. Maybe it's the fear that shows up. Maybe it's the anger. Maybe it's the uncertainty. Maybe it's the doubt. I don't know if I can do this. How do you manage them when it's just you and there's nobody around?
Yeah. I think I just do I've really just tried to reprogram my brain, because I know how deep my mind can go if I let it. And I know how negative I can be, or I have been, I guess.
Yeah.
So me, I've really just tried to reprogram my brain. I've discussed with a lot of people like yourself that have gone through a lot. And I've really just learned a lot about the power of the brain and power of the mind, and maintaining a strong mindset. And even just being a runner, obviously, it's in the past, you have to be mentally strong to run a 5K in 17 minutes. So a lot of that was just, I've been mentally strong for a long time, and having that attitude has helped me through this process. And then just reprogramming my mind because I know how much your mind can affect the rest of your attitude, I guess. So I've just really reprogrammed it to try to find the positives in everything.
Right.
And even just a simple laugh or a smile, or a smile or a laugh or a joke that you tell yourself can be so powerful.
Yeah, it can kind of break that habit, that mental habit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I know when I get caught in those, crappy thoughts, I call them shitty thoughts, and I call the guy ST, I give him a name. And it's really just to acknowledge the thoughts, almost from a neutral place. Like you're just looking out and you're looking at all this mental dialogue that somebody's having, and you're not attached to it, even though it's yours. And then the ability, really the question for people is, and I think you got to it, Zach, is how else could I think about this? Instead of this thought about, you going back to work, or, moving through a physical tragedy, or moving through some financial difficulties, how else could I think about this? Are there people that have been through situations like me and created a lot of fulfillment in their life? Yeah, sure, there have been. Okay, what would they say to me right now? And it's almost like you just take your self-talk, you write it all down, actually doing an exercise, And you just look at it and you realize then that that's not, if anybody said that to you, you'd kind of be mad. Yet we let ourselves
Yeah,
say it
exactly.
to us. So it's not to not have those STs, but rather catch them and then reverse. So it seems to me that you've kind of programmed to the point where most of your self-talk is probably pretty good, but you have the ability to kind of catch it.
I've definitely been able to catch it. And even when you get in those down days, you just got to think about the positives, think about control what you can control. And you've told me that, and I've heard that from many wise people.
Yeah.
If you just think about the positives, otherwise, if you're constantly thinking about the negatives and the worries in your life and the things that you can't control, you're just going to drive yourself crazy.
Yeah.
And that's what I used to do. And that's what I've kind of reprogrammed by reprogramming your mind. It's super important.
Yeah. I think what happens when we get into those negative thoughts is two things. Number one, our self-esteem and our trust in our ability to do something is weakened. And because of that, then we don't do anything, right? We either take the easy way or we stay safe and we don't even take an action. And the key is when we get those thoughts, right? You look and go, okay, who would I be without these thoughts? Who would I be if I didn't have these negative thoughts? And then what would that person go do? So that's the action of you moving on and working out and going back to get your grad degree and starting work again. You know, and we'll talk about that here in a moment. So I think that's pretty cool. Before we get to our faith there, in terms of going back to work, you just started 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago, yeah.
Okay, cool. So you're back at SC Johnson, a family company, right? We all know that probably.
Yes. Yep.
SC Johnson, and they've been really good to you through this, right? So certainly let's give them a plug, man. There's a lot of people out there. We're all consumers, and listen, there's a lot of products that are, they can do this, but I want to hear about a company of people and a culture that really, takes care of their own. So how was that experience for you?
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting process. Obviously for me, being young and being with a growth mindset and everything full speed ahead. Obviously I would have wished for it to be faster and that, but at the same time, the way they've kind of taken me under their wing, and really done everything in their power to kind of accommodate me in the situation that I'm in. It's been awesome. And I'm so thankful for the way that the team and the company has really taken me under their wing like they have. And I'm super, super excited to start this new role and really contribute in a super productive and positive way.
Yeah, that's cool. As I told you before, when I worked for years ago, I worked for a guy named David Allen, wrote a great book called Getting Things Done, The Art of Stress-Free Productivity. And I had the pleasure of going out and leading some workshops there for SC Johnson, in Racine. Right. The only downside of going was when I had to go in January or February out to Racine.
Oh gosh, yeah.
But other than that, beautiful place, great company, great culture. Yeah. So that makes me feel good that they took care of you as they did.
Absolutely.
And rightfully so, because you're going to come back and add a lot of value for them. Yep. As you get your graduate degree and move up, I'm sure you're going to be a leader with a tremendous amount of input and value for them, which is cool.
Yeah, I'm excited to give back to everything that they've given to me. So it's a great opportunity.
Yeah, that is cool. Hey, so listen, you talked about, you and I both share faith, right? We're raised Catholic, so we're Christians and certainly believe in the message of Jesus. You talked a little bit about, things we can't control and everything happens for a reason. There's some people that go, yep, I believe everything happens for a reason. And then there's other people that go, I don't think so. I think life just unfolds. What do you think about all that?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think I definitely, just the way that we grew up, I mean, just trusting that God has a plan for all of us. And obviously the last 3 years has tested my faith and tested my belief, just constantly thinking, why would God put me in this traumatic situation and really,
what did I do wrong? Right.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't think I was that bad of a guy growing up, for gosh sake.
Yeah.
But it tested me, and it even to this day, every once in a while, I'm thinking like, why, just why?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, there's been so much positive individuals that I've come into contact with, and just positive results and situations that have come out of my injury. And I totally expect that to come or to continue into the future. As I continue to grow as an individual and as a person and as a disciple, I don't see it any other way than just everything happening for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah. So what do you think the reason is there then for you? Just to continue to go out and perhaps have more attention drawn to you because of your physical challenge, and that through that attention, it'll be the ability for you to be a man of faith. I mean, is that the reason?
Yeah. I think for me, it's just to be a positive beacon for people that are going through bad things or are going through trauma, or just even if it's my own personal circle, that obviously there's still going to be people within my personal network that are going to go through bad things and struggle through mental illness or trauma, family trauma, personal trauma. And just for them to be able to reach out to me and be like, yo, Zach, I'm going through some stuff. How did you go through it? Or just to be a source of support, someone to call, someone to text, someone to reach out to. I think that's going to be my passion, and what I'm going to be that guy. That's kind of what I envision.
Your vocation, right?
Yeah, exactly.
From the Latin word vocare, which is your calling. Yeah, that's cool. You know, I went through that too. I remember, like you, I was mad at God. And a real good friend of mine, Father Conley, one of my best friends, an oblate priest, he said, you know, it's all right to be mad at God. You're when you have a deep love and a communication for one another, it's all right to be mad at people because you're still engaged. You haven't cut them off. And that's kind of what helped me get through that. Yeah. Do you pray every day?
I do. If I ever can't fall asleep, I throw the rosary on YouTube, and that puts me right to bed.
Yeah, that's cool. That is cool. What from scripture or anything? I mean, I like to read it. I don't quote a whole lot. I don't know, but are there any lines from any of our faith? Any scriptures that really kind of anchor you?
Yeah. So one that I've kind of adopted since I got hurt, and I got a poster on my wall, or a little picture of it. It says, "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me." So it's Philippians 4:39 or 4:13, I think it is.
I like that one. Yeah.
So I think that's really a perfect fit for the situation that I've been dealt.
Oh yeah.
And I can I've kind of relied on that through my journey and my process, that I've been dealt a hand. I've been dealt a crappy hand, some would say. But I can do all things through the man who's above and who's going to be my source of strength and support.
That's right. Yeah. And it's only, it's only a crappy hand in that we judge it that way, right?
Exactly. That's exactly right.
Yeah. I think
some days it seems crappier than others, but on those bad days, you just got to reprogram your mind and shift the way you're thinking.
That's it. I was listening to Eckhart Tolle recently. You know, he does a lot around the power of now, and, he certainly talks about God. And he quoted Shakespeare. I forget the specific quote, but something about something is only good or bad is because that's what we think about it. If it was not, it would just be more neutral. So it's the whole ability to label things, which I think is pretty powerful. Yeah, for me, my line is I think it's St. Paul or whatever. I have run the race. I've fought the good fight. Press on. I think those are the ones that get to me, right? Because they all talk about that really talks about our difficult challenges that we have in our life, and is really where the growth comes from.
Absolutely.
You are
100%.
Yeah, there's no way you're not different because of what you went through and what you're going through, and I'm different, and everybody else. Whether it's your you're being in a wheelchair, and me having my near death and losing a buddy, or people going through divorce or losing their companies or whatever, there's still those challenges in life. And I think what you and I know to be true are, regardless of the challenge, there's a pretty powerful set of principles that if we apply them, we'll move through it. We will
Yep.
move through it. So
Yeah,
as we
absolutely.
wrap up, you know, I've certainly enjoyed chatting with you, and I'm certain we'll stay in touch. You got my books, you got some T-shirts out there,
Yes, sir.
and
Ready to
we'll stay.
rock it.
Yeah, we'll stay in touch for sure. You are doing great things. What, as we leave, for somebody who is maybe in a challenging situation right now, coming out of an abusive relationship, maybe they have a physical challenge like this, suffering from an illness, cancer. You know, we're in the coronavirus times right now, so there's a lot of uncertainty and fear. What are 2 or 3 basic principles that you say, you know what, my friends, keep these in your pocket because you're going to need them, and when you do, pull them out? What do you think?
Yeah. So mine would be, one, to lean on your family and friends, and those that have proven that they're there for you through thick and through thin.
Right.
That's what really helped me get through my the low days that I had.
Mm-hmm.
Just to reach out to people. Don't feel scared to reach out. It's okay to be it's okay not to be okay. That's
Right on.
That's what I've learned too. It doesn't mean you're weak if you're not okay.
That's it.
2, to lean on the man above, you know, continue to lean on your faith, lean on trusting for me, it's just trusting that something as simple as everything happens for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
For me, going through this process, obviously there's been a lot of up and downs and questions, and like I said, the whys, but just trusting that everything does happen for a reason, and that there will be positives. If you are losing your job or losing your business, there's probably going to be another door that opens down the road, that either through a different professional network or a personal relationship, that there's going to be maybe a better job that you will like more, or a different business opportunity that kind of sprouted out of this coronavirus. So
I love it.
That would probably be my main 2 advice right now.
Cool.
And then also just learn from yourself, learn from others that have gone through trauma or hard times, and really do your best to look at things in a more positive way. Yeah. And it's not a flip of the switch. It's not an overnight thing. It's a daily challenge and a daily source of growth for yourself.
Yeah. I mean, it really takes some work, right? Just kind of becomes a lifestyle. Gosh, yeah.
And for me, it's taken, like, even for me, I still have them bad days, and it's taken me 2 to 3 years to continue to reprogram myself to look at a daily situation in a positive way. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so powerful. You know, and you talk there, you know, towards the end, and I've certainly heard many times in life, and you may have had as well, when people are going through something that's, you know, this is the worst thing that ever happened to me. And then years later, I had many people look back and go, what I thought was the worst thing that happened to me was actually the best. Absolutely, you know, or actually one of the best in terms of what it really did for me as a human being, you know, growing as a human and growing in our faith in God or something bigger, or, you know, however somebody might label that energy that is so available to us, you know, and so loving and so strong, and such a source of resilience for us.
Yep. And even for myself, I've become such a better man throughout this process, or since my injury, just so much more grateful and thankful, and even just more understanding and accepting. And it's just made me a far better man, a lot more wise. At 24, I consider myself quite.
You certainly got me beat when I was 24, that's for sure. I was running around tending bar and skiing in Aspen, Colorado or whatever. So you got a lot more wisdom than me. Hey, listen, where can people connect with you if they want to kind of hang out with you, social media, follow along with you, you know, get website, social media? Where can we find Zach?
Yeah. If you want to add me on Facebook, I'm on Facebook, Zach Schmitz. And then I also have an Instagram where I occasionally just post some photos, whether it's be progress updates or just something to make you laugh. Z Schmitz 2013.
And spell your last name for him.
SCHMITZ.
Yeah, check it out. And I encourage you to, my friend, challenge you a little bit. Make sure you put some more stuff up there. Okay. You know, there's a lot of people that need to know Zach a little bit more than they probably do. So leverage that social media. But I'm certain that you and I will stay in touch for a long time. I'm certainly thankful for Ian in putting us together, and really appreciate, coming back on our Back to Life podcast and sharing your story and your vulnerability and your wisdom. So I love you, brother, and keep on doing what you're doing. Not trying, keep on doing.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me as well.
You got it, man. All right, take care. So everybody listen, you picked up some things from Zach, I'm sure. Go ahead out there and apply them, because if we don't apply them, it's just those pieces of wisdom that don't bring as much power as they can. So until next time, thanks for joining us on another edition of the Back to Life podcast. Zach, thanks again. Take care, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Back to Life. Our conversation sure got me thinking about some things that I need to pay attention to in my life, and I trust the same occurred for you as well. So until next time, each day when you come back to life, be sure to always be inspired.